Hello everyone, welcome back to our course. Today we will be discussing another important function which a teller performs. It is account to account transfer. Well, there are certainly so many different types of account transfers. We will particularly be discussing here the transfer of funds from one account to another account within the same bank. It's a transfer of funds from a savings account to a current account, or from a current account to savings account, or from a current account to current account, or saving to savings account. It can be a funds transfer from one person's account to another person's account, or from the same person's two different accounts. It can be a transfer of funds from one person's account to a company's account, or from one company's account to a person's account. But most importantly, what we are discussing here is the funds transfer in the same bank. Any funds transfer which is from one bank to another bank, that will be covered in my another video which I'm preparing, another course which I'm preparing on the topic of forex tellers expertise. That is a quite detailed course, and forex teller has a lot of complicated job tasks which we will be discussing, and that account transfer from one account of a bank to another account of another bank, or even to another currency, or even to another city or another country within the world, will be discussed in that course. That is quite descriptive. Here we will be discussing just account to account transfer within the same bank. Now this is quite a simple process. Here normally there are different vouchers which are prepared and pre-printed, available at the cashier, at the teller desk. All the banks, they have different formats. Here I'm just showing you a sample funds transfer voucher. Let me just zoom it in for you to understand and see what are the main segments of it. Normally it's a bank's name, transfer of funds, or account to account transfer. Date is the most important thing here. For this account to account transfer, it has to be a current dated voucher. It cannot be a previous date, or it cannot be a future date. This is not a check. This is just a form for transferring the funds from one account to another account. You can say it's an authority form. So the date has to be a current date. That means the processing date. That means if you are processing this transfer today, the date written here has to be today's date. And then the telephone number or any other information of the person whose account is to be debited. Transfer from, and here transfer to account, and then the account number. Here will be the account name of the customer whose account is to be debited and his account number, and then the name of the beneficiary account holder to whom the funds are going, are to be credited, and then the account number of the crediting party. Here it will be two, that can be the description of the transaction, why this transfer and all. And mostly in most of the banks there will be another column here for signatures, which is very important. In this, most probably it will customer will sign here, but it is normally at the end here for customer signature. Now customer signature is very important. Signature is required of the account which is to be debited. So if you are debiting, or if you are taking the money from a savings account and putting it to a current account, so the signature holder of a savings account has to sign here or here. As a teller, when you will receive this form, you need to see different checks. You need to make different checks, and you need to make sure that all of this information is correct. Here we have given this detail again. Let us go through it. You need to check the date. As I have discussed and explained, the date has to be a current date. You check the account number, that account number which we are debiting, and the account name, and then you check the account number which we are crediting and the account name. Both the account numbers, they must match with both the relevant names which are written on the form. Then you check the funds in the account. Funds in the account which you are about to debit. Suppose you are transferring from the savings account to a current account, so you need to check the funds, if the funds are available in the savings account to transfer or not. Suppose if this voucher is for 10,000 US dollars to be transferred from a savings account to a current account, so savings account must have the funds of minimum of $10,000. If the funds are less than $10,000, then you need to check with your head teller or with the relationship manager or with the credit manager. You, in most cases, you will find an instruction in the system for such an account which has the overdraft facility available. Overdraft facility is a facility which we will discuss in my other course, but I'll give you a little bit of an idea of it. An account which can be debited below zero. Banks, this allow some privileged customers some amount to be overdrawn. Suppose if your uh, bank has bank account has a balance of zero and your overdrawn facility is $10,000, that means bank can give you a credit of $10,000 or a small term short term loan of $10,000 which will be from your account, and as the money comes back to the account, that loan or overdraft will be finished. It's not a long term, it's just a short term for a few days or few weeks or few months. So just look for the overdraft facility. Maybe the funds are not available, but there is an overdraft facility available. You need to check all this. If you are not sure of how to check it, you give it to your head teller, and head teller, he will do the needful. Or you can check with the credit manager. Mostly it is with the relationship manager of the account or the credit manager. You really need to be careful with checking, especially with the company account and especially with bigger corporates. When you're about to debit a company account, there are more likely chances that there will be an overdraft facility available, or to a customer's account who is an elite customer. Then also you need to be careful and don't just refuse. If the overdraft facility is not available and the funds are also not enough to make a transfer of the said amount or the amount which is written on the transfer voucher, then simply refuse it. Then you will not process the transaction, and of course the system will not also accept it, because the systems these days, they have internal controls and checks to stop such transactions. Then you need to check the signature of the person or account which you are about to debit. So if you're transferring from the savings account, you need to check the signature of that savings account. That signature on the form has to match with the signature specimen in the system 100%. If you have a doubt, you can refuse the transaction. So if there is any alteration and that alteration also is not signed by the debit account holder, then also you can refuse the transfer. If the account holder is in front of you, he can sign it, of course. But if he is not there, then you can simply refuse it. You also need to check if there are any special instructions on the debit or the credit account. Maybe there are stop instructions. Maybe there are instructions from the bank or any other authorities not to debit this account or not to do a transfer. Or maybe there are special instructions on the credit account that it should not receive a credit from another account. So if there are any other instructions, you just need to be careful and check those instructions. If you find all of the information on the slip is correct, signature is correct, date, account, amount, amount in words and figures, and any other special instruction also is not there, funds are available, then you go ahead and process the transaction in the system. You have to put the account number first, then check the other details in the system, put the amount, check, put the credit account number and process. After processing, you will validate this transfer slips in the validation box, and then one copy of it will go to the other customer, to the customer beneficiary who's standing in front of you. This is how the credit copy, this is for the customer. It's exactly same except written here customer copy or credit copy. This will be given to the customer who's standing in front of you, and the upper copy that will be kept in your voucher tray for the vouchers to be checked at the end of the day and for a proof that you have transferred this amount against this paper. Well, this is pretty much the account to account transfer. Any other transfers to another banks which is done by forex tellers, as I have explained earlier, will be discussed in our another course which I will soon roll out, and you can have a free access to that course as well. If you have any questions regarding this, you feel free to ask me any questions you can post, and I'll be glad to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much. Good day.